Lewis Mevic is on trial for the shooting death of a 13-year-old boy, but the problem is he never pulled the trigger. Welcome back to our extended edition of Open Court. I'm Fred Graham. Sean Caroline was shot and killed by his friend Lewis Mevic Jr. as the two were playing hooky from school and fooling around with a pistol. Lewis Jr. served time in a juvenile facility after the incident, but prosecutors also blame his father for the deadly shooting because they say he left the loaded firearm within easy reach of his minor children. So as we go back into the courtroom, Lewis Mevic Jr. describes the deadly shooting.
The third time you played with a gun, where did you play with it?
In my room.
Okay. Was anyone else in your room at that time?
Yeah, for a brief period, but after that, then no.
Okay. Who was in your room for a brief period?
Everyone was there in the room. My little brother, Sean, Blake, and David.
Who left the room?
My little brother, David, and Blake.
Where did they go, do you know?
To the kitchen, I'm guessing, and living room.
Okay. So you still have the gun at this point?
Yes, sir.
They're out in the other room, so you and Sean are alone in the room.
Yes,
What's
sir.
Sean doing?
Playing video games.
What happens next?
I was unloading it, then set it down, and then ran out to the kitchen.
Why'd you do that?
Because they were messing around in the kitchen.
You could hear them?
Yes, sir.
And that would have been Martin, David, and Blake?
Yes, sir.
And when you got out to the kitchen, what were they doing anything? What were they doing out in the kitchen? You said they were messing around?
Yeah, as in like going in the fridge and stuff, and I didn't want anything to like be
out of place?
Tipped over, yeah.
Did you go back into your bedroom?
Yes, sir.
Did anyone else go back in the bedroom with you?
No, sir.
Did you pick the gun up?
Yes, sir.
Did you point it at Sean?
Yes, sir.
Did you think the gun was empty?
Yes, sir.
Did you pull the trigger again like you had before?
Yes, sir.
You pulled the first time, nothing happened?
Yes, sir.
How many times did you pull it before it went off?
I'm not sure.
When it went off, was that a surprise to you?
Yes, sir.
And you had shot Sean?
Yes, sir.
What did you do?
I sat there for a second, confused, and then I stood up.
Did anyone come running into the room that you remember?
No, I couldn't see a whole lot.
Okay. What'd you do then?
I stood there for a moment, then ran out to get, ran out to the living room and then ran back in to see what happened. And I came back out and dialed 911.
Okay. So you called 911?
Yes, sir.
The gun was later found under the couch. Do you know how it got there?
No, sir, I don't remember.
So you don't know if you put it there?
No, I might have. I don't remember a lot of that.
How long did it take for the police to arrive?
5 or 10 minutes.
Did everyone stay there and wait for the police?
No, sir.
Who left?
David and Blake.
Martin stayed there?
Yes, sir.
And did you tell the police what happened that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to ask Gary Collins. You remember when Monica Lewinsky's mother was subpoenaed by Ken Starr into the grand jury, she was outraged. She says that a mother would be forced to testify against her own daughter, and there was some talk about passing a law of creating some sort of a privilege there. There's no law at all that prevents that or what we're seeing here, is there?
No, absolutely not. And I can tell you that when I was a prosecutor at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington years ago, anytime a decision had to be made about calling a child, we were very conservative about it. You always tried to prosecute a case without actually having to put a child on the stand because they're children, and really everything that goes on in a courtroom, particularly a criminal courtroom, is not for children. I don't know how you prosecute this case without putting that child on the witness stand, primarily because there's no one else in the room when the shooting occurs. He's the only witness.
We're going to go to the cross here in a minute, but if you were defending this case, how are you going to bang away at this child who is the son of your client?
Well, I certainly wouldn't be banging away. If he had made particular points on direct, I would probably, that help us, yeah. I would probably follow up on those, and maybe it's the directive that his father gave him about staying away from the gun, those types of things.
Yeah, well, that's what this child will say. I mean, he just disobeyed his father. His father said, don't go bring other children in the house when I'm not there. Don't come to the house when I'm not there. And don't fool around. Don't ever touch this gun.
Yeah. And to the extent you can build those, there are facts that you can build and really drive that point home. I'm sure we're going to see this defense attorney do it right here.
Okay, we're going to see if Gary has instructed this defense attorney properly, and the cross-examination now begins.
You live with your father and brother?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you have lived with your father most of your life?
Yes, ma'am.
You were born on August 3rd, 1989?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you moved to Florida in the summer of 1992?
What year?
2002.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And where did you move from?
New York, ma'am.
Okay. And had your dad come down prior to your moving down?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you had lived with your dad up until the time he moved, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then your mom moved into the house with you after your dad, or your dad was preparing to move, your mom moved in, and then he came down to Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when your mom, now you had not skipped school when you were living with your dad, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Mr. Mevic, I need to have you speak louder, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It was when your mom moved into the house that you started skipping school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I think that you had indicated you weren't getting your homework done and you didn't want to go to school without your homework done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did your dad make sure that your homework was done?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you guys have like a routine? You come home from school, you do your homework?
Yes, ma'am.
And he checks it, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that's still the way it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you had some difficulties up when you were with your mom, and your dad arranged for you to come down the following school year?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you skip school at Largo Middle School when you lived with your father?
No, ma'am.
When was the first day that you skipped school at Largo Middle School?
September 5th.
Okay, the day that this incident occurred?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your relationship with your mom is good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's good with your dad?
Yes, ma'am.
It's pretty good with your little brother?
Yes, ma'am.
Most of the time?
Yes, ma'am.
The very essence of a general cross-examination. What we're going to see here is, we'll take a break, come back, and she continues with it, and she is able to show that what happened was a real aberration that day, that the father had trained these young boys not to do what they did, and he had no way of knowing that they were about to break his rules. We'll take a break.